Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to this is our second VEA Collaborative Chat, and tonight I'm honored to have Grandmaster Carlito Bonjoc with me. You know, I've known Carlito for quite a while now, probably since the early 90s is when I first met you. And today I just want to have a conversation with you and also talk a little bit about, your friendship with my late instructor, Grandmaster Arthur Gonzalez, and kind of delve into that and how you met and, get some backstory regarding that.
Sure.
So welcome. How you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. We had practice today in my garage. I call it the cave practice.
Okay,
And
yeah.
so it was a great day. Had a few of our students, and then I always have different friends coming over to visit. Today was my friends from Stockton Multi-Style. Yeah, so they were there visiting us, every opportunity that I get to have friends over, I always look forward to that. So yeah,
Okay.
and then basically, with I created the Sunday practice to it's an open practice, and it was at first intended only for my students because before COVID started, most of my students were private, uh, and uh, and so a lot of my students didn't know each other.
Mm,
And then I wanted to make a point that this time, that when after COVID, that I'm still going to have my private students, but I needed a session uh, sometime to get them together more often. Because I know we had events for Mata sa Baguio that we would have every few months, but I wanted to something a little bit more frequent. So I decided to open up my Sunday class. And then I decided, you know what? I'm not going to limit that to just my students. So I opened it up. I call it the cave, and everyone's welcome. And anyone's welcome, man. Anyone in the community that has an open mind, willing to come and share, as long as they have the spirit of sharing, so it's all good. So
that's great.
that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, I think we need more of that. I mean, that's kind of, that's when I started the VA Collaborative. That's of course in honor of GM Art and what he envisioned with the MACE, the martial arts cultural exchange, and getting people together and share their arts, and that's really important to me. So I'm glad to hear that that's something you're doing as well, invite people to come over. And you're right, they've got to have the right spirit though. But yeah, that's very cool. So thank you for doing that. That's awesome.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, it's this is great, man. We have we I know that this is this is definitely what you've been showing and sharing with the community, that same openness of brotherhood. And you were promoting open and unity when Grandmaster Art was here, and both of you guys working on that together, and then to continue that legacy after he's no longer here, man. That really honors the his spirit of what he wanted, GM Art. And yeah, man, I've known Art for many years, and he's done so much for us, and hopefully I'll get to share some of what I felt was really important, and the contribution that he's made locally within our community here in Stockton, with our Filipino martial arts community, and as well as what he's done for the rest of the martial arts world. And
Okay.
that's what, and let's shed some light on that today.
Yeah, that'd be great. And so talking about that, when did you first meet Jim Art? How did that come about?
Well, you know what, man? One of the great masters here, that one of the big three here in Stockton, the big three. When people mention the big three, we're talking about Angel Cabalas,
Right.
Manong Gilbertino, and Manong Leo Hiron.
Right.
And so all the Manongs, Manong Gilbert, Manong Leo, and Manong Angel, they were known as the big three. And so I was studying under Angel Cabalas, and he's already had a long friendship with Manong Angel, because they worked together. Manong Angel has had a working history with Art's father in the farming community. And so anyway, so they had that history. And so this is what I knew about Art. He used to bring his son over, Art Jr., to come and work out with Manong Angel. And so when he brought little Arthur over, I kind of got assigned to working with Junior. And so that's, every time he was there, I'm always working with him and making sure that I'm teaching him what Manong Angel wanted him to learn. And so I had no inclination that Art was a practitioner or he knew anything at all. And so I thought his son just studied with Angel, and I knew that they were friends. And and then I had what happened also is that I had my friend, one of my training partner was Ron Saturno.
Okay.
And I keep hearing about this guy that he's training with on the side, and I guess they work together. And I never put the two together, that it was Art Gonzalez.
That's crazy.
And all I know was that Art Gonzalez, that Ron Saturno was working with somebody at his job, and that they're doing some side training, and I didn't know who it was. And then so what happened is, so I knew Art as his son, as a student of Manong Angel. That's all. And years later, a friend of ours decided to open up a school in Lodi, California. A gentleman of Steve Novinger, he passed away already. And Steve opened up this school in Lodi and invited me to come and share what I teach, because at that time, I started teaching on my own, and I started my own group. And so Steve Novinger invited me over, and while I was there, Art Gonzalez was in there. And so they asked me to speak, and I spoke in front of his class. I gave a little demonstration, and then next thing you know, he asked Art Gonzalez to speak. And I'm thinking, man, it's like, man, this guy, he must know karate,
Yeah.
He must know karate. He's there for karate. And next thing you know, man, he's doing Eskrima. He's just working his magic, man. I was in shock. And I didn't know that he was an Eskrimador, and I didn't know that he was such a highly skilled Eskrimador. And
Crazy.
And I loved his presentation, man. And I just like I said, Art, man, I had no idea. I had no idea. And so from then on, we just got closer and closer. And what was awesome was, at that time I started to develop my own group, and I named my school Matasa Baguio, meaning Eye of the Storm. And so as I was teaching, I was trying to put my curriculum together, but I didn't have all I knew was the way Manong Angel taught. And then my father was also my teacher, but he was really tough to he didn't have a curriculum, and it was tough to get materials out of him, because he taught combatively. He didn't have any basics. He didn't have a teaching method. And so you know what? Art used to come over, okay, and he's the one that kind of triggered my brain, okay. He taught me how to find look at the tools that I have. Okay, so he wanted to know my favorite drills from Serrata, and my favorite drills from that I learned from my father, and he taught me how to find technique from there. Okay, so he taught me to find things, conceptual sources. I mean, no, to use what I have in Serrata and what I had in the Lapu-Lapu from my dad to pull from that conceptually, and so because that's you know, and he started teaching me how to do that, and next thing you know, I just got better at it, man. And it was Art, the one that started me to do that. And so he just had a way of he had a way of pulling things out of you, man.
Yeah.
You know, and I had no idea that I knew that I had this ability at all. You know, and then after you know, after I started doing that, man, it was like, oh my gosh, it was like my whole world opened up.
Right. No, I know.
know.
Yeah, I know exactly where you're coming from. You know, the curriculum that I teach, I used to get frustrated early on with Art because I said, we have no curriculum, you know? And he would tell me, well, it's conceptual based, principle based, and it's hard just to put something down on paper. He goes, but it's all there. He says, it's all there. He goes, it's a schematic. You know, he goes, you know, we have our striking, locking, throwing, choking, sweeping, grabbing arts. He goes, you're an engineer here. Let me draw it out for you. He got a piece of paper one day. He's like, look, here are the different arts we have: the grabbing arts, the striking arts, the locking arts, the choking arts, the throwing arts, you know, the stand-up buno, you know, and so he goes, now you filter down from here. If they throw from this angle, what are you going to do? They throw from that. And so, and all of a sudden it was like someone took these blinders off, and he goes, all right, then come back to me later. And by that time I came back with the booklet and says, all right, I think I came up with something from white belt to black belt. And I showed it to him, and he's going through, he's going, okay, yeah, that's good. You know, just like,
yeah.
I was just like, but you know, it's something that I couldn't see, but you're right. He had a way of kind of pulling those things out of you. He definitely had a gift for that, you know?
Yeah. And I'm glad that he did that, man. Yeah, because I, you know, that really, yeah, that just changed the whole course of what I did. You know, he was just, you know, I mean, I had great instruction from an young angel, and I had a lot of great techniques and things that I saw from my father, but you know, it was but you know, to look for hidden things. You know, it's just like, what can you find? Dig. You know, what else comes out of that? You know, you have this. So what are the possibilities from that? You know, those. You know, so it was the same thing. So so from then on, I'll give you an example. I might do one of the moves we do is in Serrata. You know, Stockton Eskrima. Everyone's familiar with Stockton Eskrima. You know, a lot of us, we all do like inside block combination, right? You know, and so within that inside block combination, man, I can grapple with those combinations. I can do striking empty hand with those combinations. I can go knife to knife with those combinations. I can go bladed long, you know, stick to stick, you know. I can just go into different directions, man.
Yeah.
And because Art taught me that how to find those things in my brain, man. I don't know. He opened up my brain, man.
Yeah.
And I cannot explain how he did that.
Yeah.
You know, but he definitely helped me learn how to find the creative part of myself.
Yeah, and you know, I think he had a knack too for kind of knowing the person well enough who he was talking to where he could frame his conversation and lesson based on what he knew, you know, at least for me, where he knew where my gaps were.
Yeah,
you know? So, but then, you know, he would talk to me, and then he would structure a little different for somebody else. And but he had a way of being able to do that, you know, regardless. I don't know, there was some sort of, I don't know, innate talent that he had, I guess, to know how to help
Yeah,
individuals, you know.
yeah. I
But
think I think he, yeah.
that's cool. So, I mean, I know he'd always mentioned you and held you in high regard. And, you know, when we do these seminars, he goes, well, let me talk some things over with Carlito, you know, and see what he says. Or, you know, because a lot of times, you know, regardless of what we think, there is still some, unfortunately, some political infighting between different groups and different thing. And,
Sure.
you know, so
Yeah.
whenever he put an event together, he wanted to make sure that the people who came, you know, didn't want to kill each other when they were there to teach on the mat, you know.
Yeah, yeah, you got to separate them. Yeah.
You know, but yeah, so in addition to, you know, opening your eyes, what other, you know, I know he had a lot of other people he talked to in the community. And, you know, can you share some insight of other contributions you think he had on
One
our
of the,
community?
yeah, well, before I move on to that, uh, Art was really good at edifying you. You know, I remember one of the things that he used to do is he used to he used to take us over to at that time was Jiu Jitsu America,
Mm,
and then so this is where we met, like the legends, man, Wally J, Steve
yeah.
Kufarat, you know, and when they were still around, and so I my my knowledge of the martial arts, man, was what I saw on TV, Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris,
Yeah.
and didn't know what the heck anything else was, you know. And I know I followed some people in the karate circuit, but I didn't know what the different organization was until I started going out there with Art. And so it was, you know, so then, you know, when we would go there, he would introduce us, and then he would, you know, edify us, and you know, he would just brag on us, man, you know. And so you felt like you were bulletproof and 10 foot tall. You walk into a room with all these great masters, and you feel like you're one of their equals because Art already bragged about you.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's what was awesome, man. You
Yeah.
know, it's just because he was willing and able to do that. You know, and so that opened up the doors for me, and I think it opened up the doors for some of our friends here in Stockton, and because you know, we started pushing to do more activities to reach other people, you
Yeah.
know.
Well,
And that's exactly what we did.
well,
Yeah.
I can imagine back then, you know, I'm thinking about these early Cap Danzenru, you know, events they would have, or the Jiu Jitsu America. And, you know, I know Athena was good friends with Wally J, Professor Wally J, and Siku Faraf. And, but I'm thinking back then, you know, FMA was, if you don't think it's kind of well known now, Filipino martial arts, you know, at least amongst its contemporaries, say like karate or judo or more traditional arts, you know. I'm thinking back then it must have seemed like an obscure art when they see these guys come over, you know, like a screamer,
Yeah.
that, you know.
Yeah, they didn't know what was you didn't they didn't know what to do with us, man, because we walk into a room and we didn't have any belts on.
Yeah.
You know, they just asked us to do something, and it's like magical to them. It's
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, look, you know, and they want to know what rank you are because you're not wearing a belt.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just a weird time, man. You know, it was different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we yeah, especially those of us that Filipino martial artists. You know, a lot of us came from the streets of Stockton, man, and the way we walk, the way we talk, the way we dress. You know, I remember we had some friends that I think regretted inviting us because they were regular martial arts instructors in traditional arts, in karate or
Yeah.
judo or whatever. and then they would be teaching at the gym at the athletic center, racket center here in Stockton, racquetball club. And at that time, a lot of these clubs back then, they were still exclusive. They didn't have big gym memberships back then. It was, we had we had one athletic center here, and they owned everything. And most of their clients were, professionals and doctors, and then so they would invite us to come over, and we'd show up, and we got white t-shirts, saggy pants, smoking a cigarette, standing outside drinking beer, man.
Yeah.
No uniform, we were just street, man, totally street. Our whole attitude was different, and so but art took us around to different people, and we learned, hey, let's create a uniform, let's have some uniformity.
Yeah.
I know with arts group, with his students, they started wearing belts, because they were around more with that organization that we were. But it kind of, a lot of us followed that way, became more uniform and created.
No, I remember that. I mean, I think my first 2 years I trained under art, we didn't wear belts. We were just, we were wearing whatever we went to. And then eventually it was like, okay, let's at least put on some black sweats and a white t-shirt. And then it went from let's wear a black t-shirt. And then one day he came in with because we started to do some cross training with, like Jiu-Jitsu America or Kilohana. And he's like, you know what? For safety reasons, they want us to wear belts so they know kind of where people are and ranking. And then he'd say, I think it's a good idea. So he had his bag of belts and he reached through these used belts. He's like, okay, George, here, you're like a brown belt. He reached there, Mike, you're like a, I don't know, maybe blue or green. And we didn't even know how to tie them or anything.
Oh, me too, man. I didn't know how to tie a belt.
But I remember when that happened, but at least I could say it feels like the FMA community now is, at least we have printed t-shirts, right? Got our t-shirts with kind of our logos and the emblems. But yeah, we've come a long way. I mean, I remember those early years of you just showed up in your tennis shoes and you trained, and sometimes you'd get some beers and drink and kept training. And it was the weirdest thing to me because I actually started in a more traditional martial art, which was Kung Fu. It was Vulan, Vietnam. It's a Shaolin Kung Fu. So we had a uniform. We were very strict in protocol. So I remember when I met Art, George took me to go see him at Stribley Park, where he was teaching out of, where Daniel had a program, Daniel Sizon. And I saw this dude just beating the crap out of everyone. And I was like, yeah, I don't know about this. What do you guys, they didn't do like a traditional bow in or anything. It was just like people were fighting. And, in a way, I was a little hesitant. I was like, what is this? Is this? And, but eventually I joined that group and I stuck with it. And my wife, I remember one time I came home all bruised up, smelling like alcohol. And she's like, what kind of karate school are you going to? What, she was my fiance at the time, And so I said, I don't know, we're just learning how to fight though, and that's kind of how it was. But yeah, no, it was different. It was definitely different back then. But yeah, I'm glad to see we eventually all kind of got a little more organized, and I think Art felt that's what we needed to do so we could actually showcase the FMA to a larger audience outside of Stockton.
Yeah.
So how do you feel? Do you feel like now people at least know that FMA is is a martial art, and do you think we still have work to do there in that arena? Or
you know what, man? I think we need to continue to work. It's because the martial arts world is always changing and it's always growing.
Yeah.
So people's knowledge grow, technology changes, and people understand different things, different periods, and we just have to make sure that we're open to change, man.
Yeah.
Because right now, before you had lots of secrets because nobody knew anything, right? You
Yeah.
know, now with the internet, man, everyone's able to share. Everyone's sharing what they know, you
Yeah.
know, and and if you're not careful, you're gonna get left behind, you know.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of guys out here doing some serious training, you know, and we need to be we need well, I would say this: we need to understand, uh, because not everyone is in the same, uh, not everyone wants to do the same thing. Okay, you know, I know people that just want to grapple. That's all they want to do. Okay, I know people that just want to box,
Yeah.
right? Okay, you know, I know people that don't want to. If it doesn't have Filipino on it, they don't want to do nothing with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, and so you know, so if we, as long as we understand where we are, you know, and continue to work and to continue to grow. Here's my thing, okay? Like for me, I'm I'm a I like traditional stuff, okay? So I like to follow tradition. I'm not bound by tradition,
Mm.
you know. So, but when I teach, I tend to teach traditional stuff, okay, and that's where I'm happy. And so and then I'm uh I'm creative in certain areas where I felt, uh when I want to emphasize how I feel, uh uh how they used to do things and why they came up with that, and how can we relate to that today, you know. And then so I know where my limit is, then I leave room for others to do their magic on it, you
Right.
know. And because I can't do everything with it, you know, so I leave leave room for my students to grow, you know. And so that way they can, you know, take it wherever they need to go with it, you know.
Yeah.
And so you know, and that's the goal, man. I mean, you know, I have guys that are more into teaching, uh uh you know, classroom setting, you know, and I have guys that want to do combative stuff, you know. And then so I'm not going to stop them what direction they want to go, you know. I'm just going to help channel, you know, send them in the right direction where they can grow. And that doesn't mean they have to stay with me. They can go other places to grow, you know. And but I'd like to be able to say that, hey, I help point him in that direction,
Yeah. No, I think
you
that's
know.
good. GM Art used to have the same philosophy. He said we were, he said, De Cuerdas is a vehicle, to become a better martial artist. I want to create thinkers. I want you to think outside the box. And that's kind of how he always did. So he was always, innovating, not losing everything, not losing the tradition or that base, that foundation of Tino's De Cuerdas, but always growing, and he would say that that's what Tino wanted for him, that he wanted to push him up. He would say he uses his hands and everything. Tino was trying to push me up, and I'm here to push you up. And he says, we're like that beaver, working that dam. We're filling it with logs and, our martial arts, and we're looking for those gaps. And when we see those gaps, we go study in those areas so we can get a complete, defensive system. And,
Yeah.
that requires that that's why I love about the collaboratives. If, we bring in different people to the organization and they teach, and you may have a Salat guy, a Eskrima guy, a Kaju Kempo guy, a Kempo guy, a Jiu-Jitsu guy, an Aikido, all sorts, Jeet Kune Do. And I think that's kind of where, for me, that's what I love about it, is you can kind of get this smorgasbord of stuff. And there's so many similarities because of, we're bipeds, 2 legs, 2 arms, and the art itself is geared towards humans. There's only certain things the human body can do. And so
Yeah, man.
a lot of similarities,
I,
but yeah, I think
I
it's important, that we continue to search out things and see how we can benefit our own art.
yeah. I always tell people I'm so fortunate, man, that I love the martial arts, and uh, and I'm in a world where I love this world. I get to play in it,
Yeah.
and because I love this world, I get to play in it. I get to create the games. You know,
Right.
I I don't have nothing to do. Oh, okay. I think next month I'm going to do a seminar.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to invite some friends together and let's do this. You
Yeah.
know, and you know, you just out of thin air, man. Next thing you know, you're doing something. You know,
Yeah. No,
and
that's
we get to do that, man. Get to play. Big kids.
yeah. So with that, with that being said, here we're coming down to the end of our time here. I first want to once again thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to have this conversation. I know this is probably the first of many, and but if someone wanted to reach out to you and train with you and go reach out with your cave, how would they find you? How do they contact you?
Right now, I'm in a transition. I'm developing a new website,
Okay.
and so anyway, right now you can reach me through Facebook. Carlito Bonjoc through Facebook, and then I can also my phone number is available. You just Google my name and my phone number comes up anyway. Yeah, so I can be reached at 209-992-0832. That's my phone number.
Okay.
And also that's it, man. Facebook. I'm Facebook right now, and then I can reach you through email, msbboc@yahoo.com. And and then so I gotta get my website back running again.
Okay.
And yeah, so I'm redoing things.
Okay. Well, I'll
Yeah,
make
so
sure
it's
at the end of this video, I'll put your contact information so people know how to reach out to you.
okay. All
For
right.
the last 2 minutes we have here, do you have any closing thoughts or anything you want to share with, I guess, the VEA collaborative community?
Well, I think that the legacy that my friend Art Gonzalez started, man, of sharing, having that open community, having a home to that friends can come over and say hello, have your party, and then when you have your party, you let everybody know that you had a party.
Yeah.
That way, next time you have another party, it's gonna be better. It's gonna be bigger, And so he taught me that philosophy, man, and I still follow that, And so anyway, so yeah, so I think that's one great thing is that he because of his effort, and especially he started having the having that having the organization that he put together, so that way he can share the floor with his friends.
Yeah.
By doing that, it just opened up the doors for us, for those of us here in Stockton, man. It made that normal, because it wasn't normal to share before.
Yeah.
And by him doing that, it normalized it normalized sharing.
Yes,
And what an awesome legacy, man. And my friend Art Gonzalez helped do that.
All right. Thank you for those kind words, sir. Thank you for your time, and keep training, and may you stay healthy and strong for many years to come. And I'll see you soon.
Okay, Mike, you need anything from me? You just call me, buddy.
Awesome.
Okay.
Take care, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.